All right, we are now streaming live. Hello and welcome, everyone. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving holiday. You're tuning into Virtual Coffee with Ben. My name is Ben Blackman. I'm the Director of Development for Ridge. That's Royal Innovation Design Group, group of innovation consultants based in St. Petersburg, Florida. Before we get started, as always, I want to encourage everybody out there to go to the Ridge YouTube channel and our Facebook page, where you can find all kinds of great content. Can hit the like button, you can share it, you can even schedule your own virtual coffee session with me. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be on the show, although we'd love to have you, but we can have a conversation about how Ridge can help your company innovate more effectively. This show actually doesn't have anything to do with coffee. Of course, we could talk about coffee, but we'd rather talk about how companies innovate, how they strategically plan, how they create a strong culture for their employees. I'm joined by a man who does have some coffee, apparently. His name is Mo Kasti. Mo is the founder and chief executive officer of CTI Leadership. It is a transformational company here in St. Petersburg area that's focused on helping healthcare professionals deliver innovative and exceptional outcomes. Mo, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
That was great. Great to be with you, Ben.
Fantastic. Well, you're with me in the virtual sense. We're meeting up at Central Perk for those Friends fans out there, be familiar to you. And looking through your professional experience, Mo, I'm really impressed by the wide variety of work that you've done. You've done marketing and sales for GE Healthcare, the COO and Chief Transformational Officer for USF Health, and now you are the founder and CEO of CTI Leadership. So not to mention the fact that you have authored multiple books about physician engagement and leadership as well. So you're an author. I'm just curious, how would you describe the journey that you have taken in your professional career, and what led you to wanting to start and lead CTI Leadership?
Yeah, it's great. Thanks for having me on this conversations. You know, I think if reflecting back on the journey, I just call it to be more of a blessed and humbling journey. I come from a very humble background where I was born and raised during the Civil War in Beirut, Lebanon. And so all my younger years were during Civil War and disruptions, and then had the privilege to come when I was 18 to the United States and pursue college degrees. And you know, during the war, I was a volunteer in the EMT and driving ambulances, and so my whole inclination to want to help others and save lives. So being in healthcare was just a natural thing that I was driven by from a passion perspective. And then, so when I came to the state and I was pursuing my pre-med in biomedical engineering and business degrees, and you know, there was a report that was released by the Institute of Medicine that said, hey, did you know that there's 100,000 lives that's lost that could have been avoided in healthcare every year because due to error? And then that was the one report that's a sentinel moment for that. Given that that's all what I thrive for, saving lives. And I was like, well, you know, we should definitely do something about that. And the more I worked in healthcare and worked for multiple hospitals and so on, I realized that we really can avoid all of that. And put it into perspective, 100,000 lives is equivalent to 15 years of civil war in Lebanon. That's how many people we lost. And so you can avoid every year in the United States. So it came down to, do we have effective leadership? Do we have effective communications? Are we really teaching our doctors and nurses the necessary skill? And being in the trenches, realized that we really need to do that. So I worked for GE and learned from the best mind of running businesses like Jack Welch. And then I wanted to take that and bring it back to healthcare. And so I took best practices like Lean, Six Sigma, leadership, and transferred it, and I always teach it to healthcare leaders. And then you kind of think about it from that mentality of, well, what's the source of the issues, and the root causes is the way we select and train future doctors. So then I left GE and went to the University of South Florida Medical School and said, let's redesign and reimagine the way we select, train, physicians of the future, and let's train them as team members. Let them, let everybody learn together, nurses, physician, everybody else together, versus everybody separately, and then wonder why things are not working out. And so we spent time redesigning the curriculum at USF and the way we deliver care and the way we teach it. Then you realize, okay, well, the impact is still limited. It's 200 students at a time. And so then CTI became the idea of, let's take that and scale it across the country. There's 6 million nurses, there's 1 million physicians. So how do you go out there and do that? So think about CTI became kind of this almost leadership or MBA on wheels, where we go out there, work with them while they're working, teach them, coach them, and save lives along the way. Because if they can communicate better, lead better, work together, innovate, you can save lives by improving processes and improving communication. So that's a journey,
Yeah, what an amazing
9
story
seconds or
that
less.
is. Just unbelievable that you've been able to do so much, and it's so admirable. I'm curious, you mentioned how many nurses and physicians are out there. I'm curious how CTI leadership is structured. So how many people work there? How do you guys organize? Is it focused coast to coast? And who exactly are you working with? Are you working directly with the nurses and the physicians? Or are you working with groups that represent them? What's the process by which you're helping all these clients?
Yeah, we've been blessed, and I think this is one of those things that when you pursue a passion, growth and success comes a long way. So we've grown in a short period of time to be one of Inc. 5,000 company in multiple years, top 50 company in Florida, one of the best companies in Tampa. So it's a blessing, and the growth comes from, we're able to assemble about 100 to 200 speaker and coaches across the country. And we have a group of people that are here in Tampa and across the country that manages the relationship with hospitals. And our clients are multi-hospital systems across the country to still the individual doctors' offices that, still independent, and anybody in between. And when we go out there, we place a program for a year on site for that organization. Then we work with a cohort of physicians and nurses and administrators together. And I think the best metaphor is, it's like taking an MBA class or cohort, but instead of them coming to you, you're going to them and you're doing it over and over again every month. And then they really are applying and doing projects, and they're fixing something while they're learning, and then they're engaging through that. So we send our speakers via Zoom or via in person, but we believe that leadership is all about practice. So how do we do that without interrupting the flow and getting the nurses and the physicians to be away for too long. So we tend to want to go to them. So that's kind of how we're structured, and then we do it both online and in person.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure you've had to make some sort of shift now to doing more virtual work. Has that been a smooth adjustment?
Yeah, it's we can pretend that we predicted this, but nobody has predicted this. But we've been on a digital journey for a long time, and we actually have invested millions of dollars in our mobile app and online structure. So all our assessments, content, everything has been always moved to digital over the years. And so for us to pivot into this was great. Actually, by coincidence and nothing else, is beginning of this year in 2020, we decided to go completely virtual because we had the offices, and we said, the team said, since half of our team is virtual and half our team is not, can we just all go virtual? We said, let's just do a design session. Let's figure out, let's iterate. And so we had January and February, and then boom, March hit. And we were we were like, we can pretend that we predicted it, but we're not.
Yeah.
And so we were working toward that. And so we use our digital platform. Doctors and nurses are busy, so you have to meet them
Mhm.
where they are. So mobile devices is critical. And we've been doing these, what we call micro learning, which is just 3-minute slices of content that just assembled online. And so then a coach can assemble a whole curriculum for them, for their individual. So Ben, if I meet with you and you say, hey, look, your assessment says you need X, Y, and Z, then I can assemble X, Y, and Z in an agile way than trying to just say, oh, you need to go to this course, you need to go to this course,
Yeah.
you need to go to this course.
That's
So
fascinating.
we were lucky in that aspect, but we still have a way to go.
Yeah. Well, they say that luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So it sounds like you
That's
were
a good
really
point.
well prepared for the opportunity that was presented during COVID. And I can tell you, you wouldn't be speaking to me, you'd be speaking to my wife, who's actually a doctor in the Tampa area. And I can tell you that her time is pretty limited. So the fact that you do offer these services through mobile, doing it virtually now, I'm sure that's really critical because time is of the essence for these people that are on the front lines, especially now during the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Going through the services that you provide, I know that there's an emphasis on design thinking. You do the training and development, you do the coaching. I know you do a lot of speaking engagements as well. I'm curious, is there a particular area that you're particularly passionate about?
Well, all of the above, for sure. um, but look, I'm passionate, and my team is passionate about how do we help leaders connect with their heart and with their purpose, because I think that's what drives people to get into medicine, is to help others. It's just that when they're on the treadmill every day and they're running so hard, it's hard to lose, it's easy to lose sight of what's your purpose and why are you in medicine to start with, right? And so passionate about reconnecting people with that purpose, and how do they utilize that to connect with others. And so our model really speaks about it's first is to lead as a human being first before being the human doing. And you need both, and you need to be able to bring your clinical skills, but also you want to be able to bring your human level of connections and continue to widen that relationship, and being able to connect on the human level side. So coaching, if I had to choose one, it's the coaching, and especially coaching physicians and leaders, because the impact is so tremendous. Because if I can help one of the physicians to deal with COVID more effectively, or to rally people around, to help and coordinate and collaborate, the impact is so tremendous. It's just ripple effect, right? Exponential from there. And every one small thing just becomes a big impact on everybody. And so that's kind of, we enjoy connecting the dots for physicians and nurses and leaders, because the impact is so measurable, because you can feel it with outcome with patients and their family, and especially right now with COVID. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of the, I'm passionate about working with that.
That's great. Well, I know that every organization is different, but you work with quite a few throughout the healthcare industry. I'm curious if you've identified any particular trends for organizations that are doing really well through the pandemic, that have managed the change, that are doing innovative work, and maybe common mistakes that you've seen as well, where maybe decisions that have been made have been detrimental to the success of organizations. Do you see kind of who's getting it right, who's getting it wrong, and trends that are leading one way or the other?
Yeah, we could talk about trends without getting into names and
Yeah,
who.
I don't want you to put anybody on blast here, but
Yeah,
just curious in general, yeah, what you're seeing.
yeah, so the one big trend that I've been talking about innovation in healthcare for a while, and but I've been educating and speaking and talking to all our healthcare leaders out there that we think we're innovative in healthcare, but we're not. And I think the pandemic have exposed some of the weaknesses of our healthcare system, right? We're not well coordinated. We were not ready for the pandemic. We could do way much better. And one of the example is telehealth. we've been talking about the need for adoption of telehealth for years, right? And the adoption was so slow. It's like very incremental. And because everybody was just waiting for, am I going to be paid for it, not be paid for it by the insurance and so on. And so the constraint was, am I being paid? Not that, is this the right thing? Because we all know we're the right thing. None of us wants to go sit for an hour and 2 hour wait for the doctors to see them for 20 minutes or 5 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. And so technology is the right solution for many of the ailment that we need, that we have. So with the pandemic occurring, it made that a forcing function. And so telehealth adoption just went from tiny little incremental to major adoption because it was that's the only thing that it could do, right? And so I'm glad to actually see that's finally there, and it looks like CMS, the government agencies are going to continue to reimburse that. So I think that will become even more sustainable aspect of things. I saw a lot of great best practices occurring there, and I'm actually going to be doing more writing around that. Is that organization kind of cleared the deck and says, okay, we got to focus on this. This is more important. We need to collaborate across department. We need to make sure that we're focused on what's the priority, and then started to innovate little by little, saying, okay, we don't need to shut down everything. Now we can have a wing or part of the hospital dedicated for COVID. So now we know that when there's an infectious disease, we have a better way of handling that versus before we didn't have a process for that. So now there's a better organization of that. Where the challenge I see is this thing has extended way beyond the original plan. We all thought it's going to go up, it's going to come down, and then it just went up and stayed up. And for us in healthcare is that you have no choice but to show up every morning to take care of the patient. So the stress level has just continued. It didn't go up and come back down. So the stress, the burnout and mental impact of the COVID on our healthcare leaders, our healthcare providers is a concern to me. And so that's why we continue to adjust. And so during the pandemic, and now we're redoing it for the holidays, is we offer all our coaching for free. We said, we're going to open it up. We're going to support you. You're in the front line. You're the heroes. We're behind you. We're going to help you with that. And so talk to us anytime. We're here to support you and help you. And when we did it in March, it was a great success. So we're going to bring it back in December.
That's incredible. Well, if you're just joining us now, this is Virtual Coffee with Ben. I'm Ben Blackman. I'm the Director of Development for Ridge, and I'm with Mo Kasti. And Mo is the founder and CEO of CTI Leadership. It's a transformation company. It's focused on helping healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses. They help them deliver innovative and exceptional outcomes. If you like what you're hearing, you want more content, you can go to the Ridge YouTube channel or to our Facebook page. Mo, we talked a little bit about the pandemic, how you guys were really well prepared for it. I'm curious, are there other ways that you're adapting your business operations or your strategic plans heading into 2021?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, anybody that would say, hey, we were prepared for this, nobody had predicted to this capacity of things. I'm a student of Sun Tzu, The Art of War. I've been studying it. I teach it to other leaders. And so there's a teaching in there that says, look, strategy is like water. It moves with the terrain it finds itself into. So never be locked into one strategy, but always be ready for a terrain-based strategy. And so we run our company that way, and it's always about agility. And so when the pandemic occurred, the first thing was, let's take care of the team. Let's just make sure everybody is okay. Let's make sure that we take care of our team members and make sure that we're good. And then let's make sure that we're there, we show up for our clients. So that was like number one thing. Then we looked at what we call our line of sight, and it's our strategic plan in one page. And we looked at it and it says, okay, well, what are the things that are irrelevant or they just need to be suspended for now? And what are things that we need to innovate? And so we went into a full gear of innovation and designing new offering, new services. We even launched a new company called Virtual Health. And it really centers around how can I offer physicians and nurses a virtual assistant to help them with all of that. And so we launched it, so while there's a pandemic, we can launch another efforts in another company. We moved all our work, of course, online and on Zoom, innovated in that space, developed new offerings, even in the aspect of with everything social unrest that was taking place, we are all part of society. So whatever happens outside the hospital occurs in the hospital. And so how do you have difficult conversations around, social justice and how do you really even start the conversation? Because it's so sensitive and work through that. So, we served around diversity, inclusions, and, being able to talk about how do you, coach others and work through that? How do you create a culture of diversity and inclusion? So all those things were new in our radar to really just connect with that. So our strategy was just to be as agile as possible and to just innovate new offering and new services, and while suspending things that are not there. We believe 2021 will be, demand will be there. We need more leadership, not less. Mm-hmm. And so we'll be, connecting with that. And then with virtual health of providing somebody a virtual assistant at $100 a day, I think we now accept that there's I can have someone virtually. A year ago, probably that was not even in the deck. And so, mm-hmm. So that's kind of how we worked through that. And we're still working through it.
Of course. It's always changing. I mentioned early on when I was introducing you that you actually authored a couple books about physician engagement and leadership. Curious what prompted you to decide to write a few books, and curious if you have any others on the horizon that you're thinking about writing.
Yes. So the writing of the books was really more a trying to put everything together that we do and we learn every day, and being able to put it together into simple model that people can connect to. So the leadership book was about what does it mean to be a leader in healthcare, or just being a leader in general. And so we said it is about leading with purpose, leading self, leading others, leading with strategy, and leading for results. It's all about human doing and human being. And so we framed all of that and kind of put it into a book that became a bestseller. And then the next one was about how do you really just not talk about engagement as a thing to do, but realizing that engagement is just one conversation at a time. And then being able to humanize that conversation. And that's what really inclusion is all about, is to have a human conversation like you and I are having right now. And so connecting with that. The next couple books in the work is one is about uncommon leadership. Sun Tzu talks about learn the common, but then win with the uncommon. And so that's where innovation and design thinking comes in. And so how do we lead in an uncommon way? And I think the pandemic had forced us to figure out a different way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And then drama-free healthcare is in the work. So.
It would be nice to have drama-free healthcare. I think you speak for a lot of people. I'm excited to see when those come to fruition. We'll certainly want to promote those for you. All right, before we hop off, Mo, we got some quick questions for you to get to know you on a personal level a little more. We call these the Benny Good Times Fast Five quick questions.
Sure.
The first one is we want to know what your favorite thing is about the Tampa St. Pete area.
The beach. We have just beautiful beaches.
All right. Do you have a favorite spot?
Clearwater.
Always a good choice.
White sand and then beautiful sunset.
Fantastic choice. All right. So if you had to leave the area, I'm giving you a free ticket to travel anywhere in the world. Where are you going?
Italy.
Oh, which part?
I would want to go to somewhere north, um, uh, Tuscany, more closer to the water.
Mhm.
So we had spent some vacation time there, and we just fell in love with it.
So you've already been, so you'd be going back to someplace you've already been. That's great. Must
Yeah,
have left a lasting impression.
yeah.
Question three is, what is your favorite movie?
Ooh. Uh, can I have to be one?
You can
Well,
give me a couple.
Star Wars, all the series of Star
Okay.
Wars, you
Yeah.
just can't do that. But if there's one, it would be an old movie called Out of Africa.
Yeah.
And it was just a great movie to watch. So I love that.
Fantastic. Are you a fan of The Mandalorian and all those
Yeah,
spin-offs? Okay.
my son is too. So
Great.
yeah,
Yeah, they're never gonna stop making the Star Wars stuff.
yeah.
If
Disney Plus is always on in our house.
Oh, I bet. So if you were put on stage for a talent show, I pushed you on the stage, you had to do something, what would
Yeah.
you do?
Oh man. Yeah, I would love to learn to play the piano.
Okay.
And so on my bucket list is a certain point to learn it. And then if I'm
Fantastic.
on stage, I'll play the piano.
Well, I mean, COVID, there's probably a lot of time spent at home. What better time to pick up a new hobby? I know you're a busy man, but maybe
Yeah,
sneak in some piano. I'd love to hear it if you ever get to the point where you're willing to try your skills out in front of an audience. I'll be your
yeah,
audience. And
yeah.
then finally, who's your hero or your biggest inspiration? Why?
You know, my two boys are my inspirations. They're 15 and 13. And they're just phenomenal in the way they just adjusted through this. You know, Adam, my eldest son, his spirit of serving others. He wants to be of service to others and helping others. And he wants to be a senator. He wants to be president of the United States. So I think his service, he gets it right. Leadership is about serving others. So he's phenomenal. He actually, so serious about it, actually has his own website,
Wow.
internationaladam.com. So
I'll have to check it out.
yeah, check
Internationaladam.com.
it out.
Okay.
So he's back about that. And then my younger one, Jude, who's the creative. So talking about design thinking, he is the most creative. Wants to be an Imagineer for Disney. So anybody listening from Disney, you got
Yeah.
a young person that's being groomed for that. So, but they're my inspiration. They're just great to see them grow and deal with all this challenges, but see them thriving. So
That's wonderful. And I got a bonus question for you. I noticed on your LinkedIn you mentioned you're an average soccer player. You didn't say that was your
yes.
talent. So obviously not too great. I'm curious, do you have a
Well,
favorite soccer team? Are you a fan?
well, Barcelona is,
Okay, that's your team. Okay.
yeah, and
Mo's a
when we
front
went to
runner.
Spain,
He goes with the winners. It's an easy team to be a fan of for sure.
yeah,
Um,
no, absolutely, absolutely.
That's great. Now, before we hop off, International Adam, we want everyone to go check out internationaladam.com, but want to make sure that anybody who's interested in learning more about CTI leadership, where can they go to find out more about the great work that you and your peers are doing?
Yeah, so CTIleadership.com is our website. C as in Charlie, T as in Tom, I leadership.com or mocasti.com. Those are easy to remember. I'm on LinkedIn. Please, connect with me. I'd love to hear from you. That's probably the easiest way to connect with us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great talking with you. It's really admirable all the work that you're doing to help people, and wish you the best of luck moving forward. For anybody out there who's interested in learning more about Ridge, again, you can go to our website as well, ridge.com. That's RIDG.com. And again, you can go to our YouTube channel or Facebook page to get more content. Until next time, I'm Ben Blackman with Ridge. That was Mo Kasti. We will see you next time. Take care.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.